Good morning, class, right? This is only the second time we've ever done this, so you'll forgive us as we're still finding our way through here. But good morning, everyone, and thank you, including those of you who are in the cheap seats up there. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for joining us to honor our dear friend, a trailblazer in literally every sense of the word, and the best partner in government I could ever ask for, former Lieutenant Governor and dear friend Sheila Y. Oliver. And to all of the members of the Oliver family with us today, including Sheila's niece Renee, who will speak on behalf of the family in a few moments, as well as Sheila's nephew Charles at the other end of the bench. Charles, great to be with you, who's sitting with the one and only CJ. And of course, Sheila's brother, Charles Sr. I can't resist hey, Chuck, because that's what Sheila would be saying. And of course, his wife, Sylvia. And to each and every one of you, it's an incredible honor to have you with us today. And allow me to say thank you, not only for being with us today, but for working every day to honor Sheila's legacy, especially with the Sheila Y. Oliver Foundation. More on that in a few moments. We miss Sheila desperately. We also, I mentioned to the family in my office, we also miss her mom, Jenny, who was a giant in her own right, and God bless them. And as Renee reminded me, the good news is, the silver lining is, I guess, that they're together. I also want to thank another outstanding leader who was carrying on Sheila's legacy and bringing it forward, both as her successor and as a deeply accomplished public servant in her own right. We will hear from her in a few moments. The third Lieutenant Governor in the history of the state of New Jersey, Tahesha Way. The fact is, during my time as governor, and for myself, and frankly I could say for all of New Jersey, we've been blessed by the guidance and wisdom of two outstanding public servants, back-to-back, Sheila and Tahesha. So Tahesha, as always, I'm incredibly grateful for your partnership and for your commitment to building that stronger and fairer New Jersey that we've always talked about. We've got an all-star cast of elected officials with us today, beginning with the Speaker of the General Assembly, Craig Coughlin. Craig, great to have you. Senator Shirley Turner, Angela McKnight, Brittany Timberlake, God bless you three. Trenton's own Verlina Reynolds Jackson is in the house. Verlina, I said this to Angela, we have to stop meeting like this. We're seeing each other literally almost every day. And to the many friends and former colleagues of Sheila's with us today, a particular shout out to our dear friend Terry Tucker, but to everybody else who meant so much to her and to all of us, and all that you brought for Sheila and she brought for you. I also want to thank the first and another former Lieutenant Governor, Kim Guardano, who is with us today. Kim, we had the great honor of, not just a few weeks ago, of unveiling your portrait right here in the rotunda, and it's great to welcome you back. And I also want to recognize one more person in absentia who could not be with us today, who is the artist behind the portrait we are unveiling today, Kathy Fieramusca. She is an outstanding portraitist. While she is unable to join us today, she asked us to extend her deepest gratitude, especially to the Oliver family, for giving her the honor of painting Sheila's official portrait. Is Margaret with us today? Margaret, are you here? Margaret, you're standing today and not sitting, but Margaret O'Reilly is the director of the New Jersey State Museum, and again, I thank you for your help on this important endeavor. And with this portrait, as we will see in a few moments, back to Kathy who painted it, I think we'll all agree that she has successfully captured Sheila's grace, the glow of her spirit, and of course, her rockin' sense of style. We can never let that one go. So now we're gathered this morning, just slightly over 2 years since we lost our dear beloved Sheila. And in the days leading up to this unveiling, I've been reflecting, as I suspect many of us have been, on the countless ways in which Sheila helped change New Jersey for the better. During our 6 years of partnership, I was constantly reminded why she was the ideal person to lead the office of Lieutenant Governor. After all, as Tahesha and Kim will attest, the single most important responsibility for any lieutenant governor is being ready to step up and lead the state on a moment's notice as acting governor, if called upon. And that was a test that each of these women passed with flying colors. And for Sheila, especially during one of the most perilous moments in our state's history, March of 2020, the start of the coronavirus pandemic. It was a moment when the world itself seemed to be flying off its axis. And in the midst of this brewing public health crisis, of all things, I faced an illness of my own. I had recently been diagnosed with cancer. And as luck would have it, I was scheduled to go under the knife just literally as the first COVID case had hit New Jersey. But during this moment of anxiety and uncertainty, which stretched on for days after days, under Sheila's leadership, both on a personal and on a more global level, New Jersey remained in safe hands. Because while I recovered from surgery, Sheila stepped up to lead our state with unwavering resolve and moral clarity that defined her entire career. And during those early days of the pandemic, Sheila and I worked together to convene our state's leaders and marshal our resources to protect the people we serve. And by the way, at every step of the way, led by Craig, then Senate President Steve Sweeney, and all of their colleagues with an extraordinary amount of support and partnership from the legislature. And Sheila's absolute top priority, as it had always been, was addressing the critical needs of New Jerseyans in every community. That is one of the many reasons why I asked Sheila to join our first campaign back in 2017. When it came to fighting for the people, Sheila was fearless, unshakable. And to borrow a phrase, Renee, from you, she always, and I quote you, led with excellence and served with grace. And when I say always, I mean always, because Sheila's commitment to public service stretched all the way back to the days of the Newark Rebellion, which erupted on the eve of her 15th birthday in 1967. As a young woman, she emerged from those 4 days of burning with a determination to extinguish injustice in all of its forms. And that was a mission she remained devoted to at every stage of her life. Whether as a student leading walkouts at Weequahic High School, or as a recipient of and ultimately a champion for the Educational Opportunity Fund, or as a social worker delivering justice one family at a time, or as an affordable housing advocate who stood up for her neighbors and prevented the demolition of low-income housing in Newark. And I could go on and on and on. And over the years, as she marched forward in her career, Sheila blazed one trail after another. She was the first black woman to serve as Speaker of the General Assembly, the first woman of color elected to statewide office in New Jersey, and the highest-ranking black woman to ever lead the people of the Garden State. But for Sheila, public service was never about being the first to break these barriers. It was about breaking down barriers for everyone in our state and indeed our nation who had been left behind by previous generations. As Sheila brilliantly observed during her first inaugural address, and I quote her, "We make history not in the moment, but in what we do with it." And true to that mantra, during our 6 years of partnership, Sheila and I worked relentlessly to combat long-standing injustices and create new opportunities, especially in black and brown communities that, historically speaking, have been overlooked and underfunded. As both Lieutenant Governor and Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, which undoubtedly is one of our very most important elements in government. Sheila poured every ounce of herself into advancing this mission. And as I have said before, she was the definition, as they say in baseball, of a five-tool athlete. From fighting to expand affordable housing, to supporting community revitalization up and down our state, from Patterson to Atlantic City and everybody in between, to providing aid to our neighborhoods, or our neighbors rather, experiencing homelessness. Sheila was the architect behind some of our greatest victories in building a stronger, fairer, and more just New Jersey. And though we will always mourn her loss, the truth is, thanks to the many leaders in this rotunda and outside of it, Sheila's legacy is not only alive, it is thriving. Because one of Sheila's most admirable qualities as a leader was her passion for mentoring and shaping a new generation of change makers that could follow ultimately in her footsteps. And thanks to Renee and Charles and so many members of the Oliver family, that is a legacy that lives on through the Sheila Y. Oliver Foundation, a potent force for civic engagement and leadership development that just held its second annual brunch in honor of Sheila. It is a legacy that lives on in all of us in our administration, from myself to Tahesha and to all of our colleagues who are running through the tape, as they say, over the next 5 months to finish the job that Sheila and I and the rest of us started. And it is a legacy that will now be commemorated by the portrait to my left that will hang high in our state's most powerful office to honor the essential role that lieutenant governors play in our system of government. And as only the second person to ever hold the office, Sheila embodied a model of leadership that future lieutenant governors will aspire to for generations to come. A model of grit and grace, of calm and compassion, and above all, exemplary public service. So thank you all for being here today to celebrate Sheila and the legacy that she leaves behind. And with that, it is now my honor to introduce one of the many leaders who Sheila mentored and supported. Please help me welcome Lieutenant Governor Tahesha Way.
This is a great day, correct? The smile that Sheila shared with all of us, that brightened our days, and her legacy will now be shared with everyone who graces the grand halls of our State House. And what a legacy. I submit that Sheila wasn't a politician. She was that true public servant. She viewed everyone as allies who could share in the people's work. She walked into rooms and sought ways to make space so that others could follow. I know for me personally, Sheila was the first woman in elected office to see and encourage government leadership in me. But what I recall mostly about Sheila is that the first thing she would always ask me is, T, how are those girls? My response would always be, good, and I'm still breathing. Now that's who Sheila was, one who saw beyond titles and cared about the whole person in front of her, whether she was talking to a colleague or a constituent. So today, we enshrine that service into New Jersey state history with her portrait finding its permanent place here. She joins our first Lieutenant Governor, Kim Guadagno, whose portrait we unveiled recently, and I'm honored that my own will one day join them. So to close, I would be remiss not to acknowledge Governor Murphy for recognizing that lieutenant governors are an integral part of New Jersey's history. May we show him some love, please. And equally important, thank you, Oliver family, for sharing her with the people of New Jersey. Now, while our experiences, Kim knows this, as LGs may be different, what has united Kim, Sheila, and me is that we all have sought to do good. And it's my hope that those who will follow will do the same and always put the great people of New Jersey first. Thank you so much.
Tahesha, thank you so much. Kim, I think I said this at your unveiling. I'm sitting here looking up at these distinguished fellows. It'll be nice to have a little bit of diversity and mixing it up a little bit on these walls, right? Tahesha, thank you so much. And now, please help me welcome, speaking on behalf of the extraordinary Oliver family, the extraordinary lineup with us today, the president of the Sheila Y. Oliver Foundation, her niece, the one and only Renee Oliver. By the way, I meant to say I love the button.
Hello, everyone. I am both proud and moved to stand here today as we unveil the official portrait of my aunt, the late, great, forever Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver. My father, my mother, my brother, my little nephew CJ, all of our extended family and friends who are here with us today, we are so grateful for this monumentous occasion. This portrait is a testament to a life that was lived authentically and unwaveringly in the service of others. Sheila Oliver boldly advocated for the people of New Jersey, including those who were not always directly in the room with her. And I know that we all can attest to the fact that if Sheila Oliver was at the table, that meant that all of us were at the table and our voices were being heard. While growing up in Newark, she observed societal injustices around her, as many of you know, often citing A Tale of Two Cities, a story that reflected her surroundings. This fueled her lifelong commitment to speaking up for the voiceless. She began her career teaching college courses and as an executive director at the Leaguers, which drew on her empathetic social work background to improve the community for those who needed it most. She also served on the East Orange Board of Education, which was an experience that later led to her advancing legislation for students statewide. She then went on to serve in the New Jersey General Assembly and shattered a major glass ceiling when she became the first African-American woman in state history to serve as Assembly Speaker. And I must say she succeeded in that position ever so gracefully. In 2018, when she was elected as Lieutenant Governor, she made history again as the first woman of color elected to statewide office in New Jersey. So this official portrait is not only adding to her legacy, but it is a call to action for anyone that sees it when they come across it in the State House. Her memory encourages us to uplift the next generation of women leaders and change makers so that they too can go on to create history. And as Governor Murphy mentioned earlier, my aunt was the best partner in government that he ever had. And I must say, you did your big one with choosing her. So during those times when she did serve as acting governor and she did have to step up to the plate, she also signed several laws that furthered improved the lives of New Jerseyans. And I just want to list a few of them here, including the Caregiver Task Force to aid older adults and disabled individuals in need of support. She strengthened equal pay protections by banning employers from demanding higher salaries. She made it a requirement that all public school students in grades 6 through 8 receive financial literacy courses and education. She launched a restorative and transformative justice pilot program to keep the youth out of the juvenile justice system. And the list goes on and on. I could probably stand here for another hour listing off all the things she did. And she also served as commissioner of DCA, where she expanded initiatives for affordable housing, community revitalization, homelessness prevention, and local government services. These initiatives included the Main Street New Jersey program, the Neighborhood Preservation Program, and the Urban Enterprise Zone program, which still supports the revitalization of urban communities to this day. Yet, beyond her dedication to the people of New Jersey, my aunt was like a second mom to me and my siblings. She guided me throughout my formative years and instilled in me so many essential morals and values that literally contributed to the woman that I stand before you today. And most importantly, she constantly poured into me and my family as well, and her support and her love was one like no other. Many of you may have known her as a high-ranking public official, a colleague, a constituent, or maybe even your boss, but to us, she was simply our loving, kind, thoughtful, beautiful, radiant aunt, sister, and dear friend. And because of her presence and the phenomenal example that she set throughout my life, I've been able to gain knowledge, values, and access to so many different experiences and opportunities because of her. So we all miss her dearly, albeit I can confidently say that her spirit is alive and well in this room today, and it especially will be alive and well in the Lieutenant Governor's suite where this portrait will hang for centuries to come. It will serve as a constant reminder for others that no matter who you are, or whatever your background may be, you can forge your own path to create change. And by the grace of God, her legacy also continues to live on through the Sheila Y. Oliver Foundation and the various scholarships and initiatives and monuments and sites that have since been named in her honor. And later this year, she will also be inducted into the official Hall of Fame in New Jersey. Yes. Her legacy will also continue to live on in every young leader breaking barriers to make the world a better place. Sheila Oliver's impact has been and will continue to be cemented in history forever. So on the behalf of the entire Oliver family, Governor Murphy, we extend a heartfelt thank you to you for setting this precedent so that all former lieutenant governors will be honored with this recognition. Thank you to Lieutenant Governor Tahesha Way for carrying on Sheila Oliver's legacy. And also thank you to the artist, Kathy, for beautifully capturing my aunt's tenacity and her grace. And thank you to everyone here and the ones up top for taking the time to join us for this monumental occasion. May this portrait inspire all who see it to continue the work that Sheila Oliver began and help us in making New Jersey a more fair and compassionate one for all. Thank you, and God bless you.
Let's hear it again for Renee. That was As they say in music, it's a family affair. So if I may invite the Oliver team to come on up and unveil this for us.